Whenever November rolls around, I get into a video game mood, like heavy video game mood. And that's saying a lot because I'm always in the mood to play a video game, but extra in November and December. And with that being said, it also makes me in the mood to talk about video games more than I typically do. And there's no new video game for me to talk about this week, so I thought I'd do something that I don't typically do, and that's do a collection update. If you don't know, I absolutely love owning video games. I don't love owning them digitally. I love owning them physically. I love having a case and a disc in my hand. I love getting up, grabbing a case off my shelf, taking the disc out of that case, bringing the disc over to my PlayStation 5, putting the disc in, playing it, and then when I'm done taking the disc out, putting it in the case, putting it back on the shelf and just stare at it for hours. So I'm going to show you guys all the physical games that I've got within the last month or so, but before I do that, you should consider subscribing. As you could have guessed, I talk about video games a lot on this page, but more specifically, I talk about horror video games, but I also talk about movies, TV shows, and I do trailer reactions. But anyway, let me show you guys some games. First, I'm going to start with the new games that came out recently. By new, I mean like actively came out recently, and I paid $70 for these. The first being Starfield, which I am having so much fun with this game. Yes, I know most people just subscribe to Xbox Game Pass and they play this game for $15 a month, but me being me, I needed to spend $70 just to have the physical case on my shelf, just to feel like I actually owned it. Like if a million nuclear bombs just fell from the sky and wiped out and destroyed everything but me in my house, I could still play Starfield. This is actually the very first game that I own physically for the Xbox Series X. There's been no other game that I've really wanted to own physically for that system yet. The second and last premier title that I bought physically is Spider-Man 2. I am so excited to getting around to play this. I actually haven't started it yet. I didn't want to start it until I beat Alan Wake 2, but I just recently beat Alan Wake 2, so I can jump into this one. I have a very strong feeling that this game is going to be a Game of the Year contender for me. I really loved the first Spider-Man game that came out in 2018. And this one just looks like it's going to have, in my opinion, I'm hoping, a better story, just better gameplay, better everything. Just everything that was good about the 2018 Spider-Man dialed up. Those are the only two $70 new titles that I've gotten recently, except for Alan Wake 2, but that was digital only. The rest of the games that I'm about to show you are all backlog titles, games that I've been wanting to add to my collection for a long time. And a video game store near me was going out of business and they were having a massive sale. So every single video game that you're about to see cost no more than $10. In fact, only one of them cost $10. The rest of them were less than $5. So when I left that store, my arms were just filled with games and my gaming shelves just expanded by a lot. And of those titles, the first one that I'm going to actually show you is a PlayStation 2 game. I haven't bought a PlayStation 2 game since last year, and the one that I bought last year was the first one I bought in many years before that. And that is Lord of the Rings: Aragorn's Quest. I had no idea that this game existed. When I was a tiny little kid, I loved playing the Lord of the Rings games on the PlayStation 2, but I never heard of this one, never saw it before. This was actually new when I bought it. It was still factory sealed and it was very inexpensive, and I highly doubt I'm going to play it anytime soon, but I want to play it eventually someday, and it just adds to my collection. And now I'm going to show you 4 games from one franchise, a franchise that I really loved back in the day, but I haven't been up to date with in a very long time. The first being Assassin's Creed: The Ezio Collection. I actually played Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and like half of Assassin's Creed Revelations a long time ago, but I wanted to re-own them for the PlayStation 4. Same with Assassin's Creed 3. I played this originally on the PlayStation 3 when it first came out, but I thought it would be fun to upgrade to the PS4 version. Now, the next 2 are also Assassin's Creed games, but they're games that I've never played and I've never owned before. The first being Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered. I know a lot of people don't hold this game in high regard, but I'm still curious about it. And then this is the only one that I spent over $10 on, and that is Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the PlayStation 5. This one was only $9.99. And I'm really excited to play an Assassin's Creed game where you're a Viking. Now I'm going to show you some Xbox One games. I don't own a lot of Xbox One games because the Xbox One notoriously barely had any games for it, and if a game is available on the Xbox and the PlayStation, I'm always going to get it on the PlayStation first. But these are 3 games that I want to play eventually, and they were really cheap, so of course I bought them. The first being Rise, Son of Rome. I'm pretty sure that this was actually a launch title for the Xbox One, and I've always been curious about it, and this one was $3, so it'll be a fun game to play on some random snowy day. The second being Sunset Overdrive. I played about maybe 70% of this on the Xbox Game Pass in 2020 when I got COVID. I was really sick, so I just subscribed to the Xbox Game Pass back when they had that $1 deal, and I played this, and I actually had a lot of fun with it, but I never beat it. I'm happy to own it physically though, and eventually replay it and hopefully finally beat it. It was really fun, I know that much. The last Xbox One game that I got is Gears of War 5. I really love the first Gears of War game. I played that I think twice, but the last time I played it was a long time ago. Never played any of the sequels though I do own them all. Gears of War 5 was the last one I needed to complete that collection. Next are two Nintendo Switch games, the first being Tunic. I remember when this took the gaming world by storm, I think either earlier this year or last year, and I thought it looked really fun because it looked like old school Legend of Zelda, where you play as a fox, and foxes are one of, if not my favorite animal of all time. But when it came out, it only had a digital copy, but I guess a physical copy came out eventually because I was just browsing around, and lo and behold, a physical copy. And not only a physical copy, but a nice one, and a nice shiny box, and I'm not going to open it, but inside is like an art book and a map of the world. It's really cool. And the second Nintendo Switch game is Cult of the Lamb. I don't really know anything about this game other than the art design is like a perfect combination of like cute and also metal as fuck. Another game I'm really excited to try someday and see if I like it. That's it for Nintendo Switch games. Now the rest of these games are PlayStation 4 games. The first being Dead Rising 2 remastered on the PlayStation 4. I have this game for the PlayStation 3. I played it when it first came out and I absolutely loved it. But I actually wanted the PlayStation 4 copy specifically because sometime in the future I would love to make gaming videos about the Dead Rising franchise. And it would just be easier for me to make those videos with a PlayStation 4 copy because it's much easier to capture footage. But when this game first came out, it had an insanely fun multiplayer component to it. And I don't think that this version includes the multiplayer aspects. I'd love it if it did, but I don't think it does. But anyway, Dead Rising 2 remastered. The next is Middle of Earth Shadow of War. Have not played this game. I know there was tons of controversy around it when it first came out, but I did play Shadow of Mordor, and I really loved that game. So I'm excited to play this one because I've heard that if you can look past the controversy that was surrounding it when it came out, that is actually a better game. And I just love the world of Middle Earth. I love fantasy games. I'm excited for it. Uncharted 4, a franchise that I've never dabbled into until relatively recently. The first game I played in 2021, and then the second game, which I loved, I played for the first time earlier this year. The beginning of next year, I plan on playing Uncharted 3 for the very first time, and then after that, obviously, I'm going to jump into Uncharted 4, but to do that, had to buy a physical copy, so here it is. A game that shares a genre with Uncharted, and that is Tomb Raider. Again, I played this game when it first came out on the PlayStation 3. I actually beat it in one day way back then, which is super uncommon for me to do. And I own this game digitally on the PlayStation 4, but I just needed a physical copy. I don't own Rise of Tomb Raider or Shadow of Tomb Raider yet, but I will eventually, probably really soon. And then the last game that I'm going to show you guys today is Dark Souls 2. I'm not that well versed in From Software. In fact, my knowledge of those games is very limited. I played Dark Souls 3 when it first came out for I think 2 chapters or levels or whatever that game refers to their segments. And I had a really good time, but most recently I got Demon's Souls Remake on the PlayStation 5 the day the PlayStation 5 came out. I was lucky enough to get a PS5 on launch day, and the game that I chose to buy for it that day was the Demon's Souls Remake. And like Dark Souls 3, I only beat about 2 chapters in that game, but I really loved it. I love the art design. I love the challenge. I love everything about those games. I don't know why I don't finish them, but I plan to. But I already owned Dark Souls Remastered. I already own Dark Souls 3. I already own Elden Ring. I already own, again, Demon's Souls Remake. So I got Dark Souls 2 to add to that collection. I think the only 2 that I need now is Bloodborne and Sekiro, I think it's called. Shadows Die Twice. But anyway, that's it for this video game collection update. Would you like to see me do videos like this more frequently? Let me know in the comments, because this isn't something I typically do, but it could be something fun to do every now and then. Any more ways that I can incorporate talking about video games on this page, I'm open to. Anyway, what video games have you added to your collection recently? Whether it was physical or digital, let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Once again, consider subscribing, and thank you for watching, especially especially if you watch this far.